Hello. Um, I have what might turn out to be rather an odd sharing to do with you now. I have a fresh journal that I wrote just a little while ago, and well, it'll say a lot, but before I get into that, I just wanted to share something. Sometimes people will message or write me and they'll ask about this or that person who's doing some teaching that they've discovered on the web, and they'll wonder what's my opinion of them. And Heart shares that a lot of times. Sometimes it doesn't. There's no pat answer for anything. Heart is ever in the now, and we are too when we're focused and centered there. And so everything's different, unique. Each moment is, even though there's a seeming sameness to it. But anyway, what I meant to share here was that even if I, let's say I say someone is really grand, like I would like to think, for instance, that my journals are useful, all right? But that doesn't mean that they are 100% consistently something that you can just trust and go on. Whether it's the ones I like so much, I mention so often, Muji or Adya or Eckhart or Byron Katie, Gangaji. No matter how perfect anyone's words and teaching seems to be, I haven't found anywhere complete perfection. Now, it's my own personal opinion that I'm not going to, that it doesn't exist, that we're not meant to find absolute perfection in any one being. I mean, aside from the fact that there's no separation and that we're all one, uh, aside from that, what we find in a teaching won't always be either beneficial or non-beneficial. Now, the other side of that coin is that there are some people whose teachings, let's say, are purely from head, purely mental. And, I'll come out and say that that's what I see in that one. And so personally, I don't choose to listen to that. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything for you. Even the ones that are imperfect, whose teachings may overall not be so hot, if you're called to that, if that lights a fire somewhere inside you and heart seems to call you there, then go for it. There's something there that's for you. I don't think a stream has to be perfectly pure in order for us to take a drink in it. I think no matter what, we're going to find there was a polar bear or a lion or a fish that pooped in it or peed in it. I mean, come on. It is what it is here in the 3D footstool kingdom. And I think I think we've been duped and fooled into looking for this level of perfection that we're not going to find outside of ourselves. Now, again, this is just my understanding as it stands right now. That's all I have to offer here. All right? And yours is just as worthy and just as wonderful. But I do enjoy sharing here. It helps me a lot because unless I go to the journal with things, I don't get these understandings, just like anybody else. I tend to cycle things round and round, and even though it's maybe more in heart than it is in head, it's still, there's a magic in sharing, whether it's just privately with your journal or whether you go public with it or whatever. There's something, some kind of magic there that, I don't understand. It doesn't matter. It works. Okay, so I use it. Anyway, so when people are wondering how to make a judgment, who to trust, what's right, what's wrong. Never mind all this 2012 garbage that's got the addition of that emotional, stuck right up the middle of it, that it's hard to touch on things like that and get a clear reading. just because of the emotional undercurrents. But just if you're looking at this teacher or that, or even within a certain one's website, if you're looking at this video or that, you know, which one has a message that's worthy of trusting. Always go to your heart. Always, always, always. The person doesn't have to be perfect to have a message that's perfect for you. I guess that's what I'm trying to say here. Your heart will lead you where you need to be when you need to be there. And the gifts will be strewn all around you. And so I think we need to quit making so many mind judgments on this one is perfect and that one is not. We still have to make our own, you know, we've got to develop our own internal sonar or guidance system. There are many more people than not that I don't listen to their stuff. I'm just not interested, because sometimes I'll just go to somebody's website and just the energy, without reading or looking at a thing, just the energy there says, no, you don't need to be here. And so I leave. It's not always extreme like that, but you know, internal guidance works the way it works. And that too is going to be unique for you. And so I think the most important thing that can be given is to support somebody in finding their own way. Not that we've got to go outside looking for a way that somebody else has delineated for us. There's all the scouts and guides and explorers and adventurers that are turning in their reports on consciousness and what they found and what their understanding is, or whatever being they're connected up with, and all of that kind of thing. I don't suggest vesting belief in any of them. I don't care how pure and how perfect. That's just me, though. You know, you got to find what's your truth. But for me, I have been shown in my own personal walk that, and I had ones I tended to hero worship. We all do. We've been taught that way, you know. That's how we've been brought up. It's always the external authority that we're supposed to listen to, right? How's that for a plot? Anyway, like the last one I got a lesson over was Eckhart. And you don't realize when you're hero worshiping someone necessarily. You don't realize when you've got deep belief and trust vested in someone necessarily. Remember, we've got a very small percentage of ourself, 5, 10%, 4%, something like that, that's conscious. And the rest of it is subconscious, unconscious, maybe superconscious, what the heck ever. It's just we don't have access to it, direct, current conscious access to it. Doesn't mean it's there, but as far as the conscious mind goes, it might as well not be there because it doesn't have access to it. So where am I going with this? I was shown and surprised when, and I don't remember what Eckhart said, what the teaching was, where I realized, gee, he's not quite right on that, you know. I seem to have a better understanding of that, and I remember being surprised that he didn't. And as I looked at that, I realized, oh my God, I put him up on some kind of a pedestal, what I would call hero worship. And it hurt, because we get comfortable with our heroes, because in a way we get to thinking in the background there, oh, they've done it for me. I don't have to do it. All I need to do is go to them. They've done it all, and I just have to listen to them, and I'll do that when I get around to it, and then I'll have it too. And, you know, that's a line of hokum that the mind gins up. But just for the sake of sharing. Now, back to, how do you tell? Let's say you're listening to Bashar or God knows who. I like to listen to Marciniak's work. I happen to think she's got a pretty good tie-in to some Pleiadians that are on the right side of the game, as far as, you know, the way I want to play it in this lifetime, which is for the light. But anyway, even if you're listening to someone that you trust, don't vest belief in what you're hearing. The Pleiadians come through and say, you know, we trick you sometimes, and we do it on purpose because you need to be tricked. and you don't realize when we're doing it and why we're doing it, and we're not going to tell you. But they're trying to help people develop an internal reliance. You know, that sonar that I was talking about, that's what's going to take us into the new age, is our own internal guidance system. We are all fully equipped. We don't need external teachers for anything. They're nice, they're handy, they give us a boost up many times, but they're not necessary, my friends. We have it all. We are it all. I am that. And, you know, we take this by steps and stages as we're washing our internal windows, even the windows of the chakras. As you look out of a dirty window, you're not seeing clearly. And so prayers for purity or violet flame or whatever, you know, your way is, meditation, whatever it is, you know, if you want to clean your chakras, go wash your windows, because the outside's a reflection of the inside. And you can start the spiral of cleaning either internally, like with your meditation, or externally in the physical world. And it comes to the same thing in the end, because they're not separate. All right, this is funny. I have this journal to read for you, and yet I still haven't shared the little gem that I wanted to share at the front of it, purity. What I'm finding is that as we cleanse, purge, and purify, and just living life on the spiritual path will see to this. It will happen. The way of karma can be said to be the way of suffering and of balancing the karma through events and the suffering and the pain and the various things that come along. So even if you're not actively doing anything but that, there's still a cleansing that's taking place if you're on the path, if you're, you know, spiritually oriented. So how do you know when you can trust? The cleaner you are, the purer your perception is going to be. It's just like saying the cleaner the windshield is, the better the view is going to be of what's really there. And that's kind of a simple thing, but I think that's what I wanted to share. And we understand deep inside ourselves, in the heart, there's a part of us that knows our level of purity. And I'm not saying we have access to this with the conscious mind, but you know, we've got a general notion, generally. Stay out of the mind with this, because the mind is where arrogance resides. That's maybe the origin of it, I don't know. But the heart has a sensing. You can't tell by how your life is going. I mean, look at the life of Jesus Christ. Whether he lived or not is another matter. Look at that life that we've been shown and given. And did he deserve all the pain, the punishment, the suffering? You cannot judge by external appearances and by what's happening in your life, whether you're a good guy or not, much less what your level of light or purity is. So I guess I really kind of wandered with this. But I think I just wanted to share that it's probably a good idea not to trust too much in your outer self in any event, whether you think you're pure or something. Sometimes people will message or write me, and they'll ask about this or that person who's doing some teaching that they've discovered on the web, and they'll wonder, what's my opinion of them? And, you know, heart shares that a lot of times. Sometimes it doesn't. There's no pat answer for anything. Heart is ever in the now, and we are too, when we're focused and centered there. And so everything's different, unique. Each moment is, even though there's a seeming sameness to it. But anyway, what I meant to share here was that even if I, let's say I say someone is really grand, Like, I would like to think, for instance, that my journals are, I haven't found anywhere complete perfection. Now, it's my own personal opinion that I'm not going to, that it doesn't exist, that we're not meant to find absolute perfection in any one being. I mean, aside from the fact that there's no separation and that we're all one, uh, aside from that, what we find, hello, um, I have what might turn out to be rather an odd sharing to do with you now. I have a fresh journal that I wrote just a little while ago, and well, it'll say a lot, but before I get into that, I just wanted to share. Useful, all right? But that doesn't mean that they are 100% consistently something that you can just trust and go on. Whether it's the ones I like so much, you know, I mention so often, Muji or Adya or Eckhart or Byron Katie, Gangaji. No matter how perfect anyone's words and teaching seems to be,